That's Joe Jackson from the Look Sharp LP with Sunday Papers. A nice little 80s tune there for you to start off the show. Good morning, Vaqueros. This is DJ Doc V. You're listening to Office Hours on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Thanks for tuning in. It is Friday, March 1st, 4 minutes after the hour. And we got some great music picked out for you today. Including little Talking Heads coming up, some Daft Punk, maybe some Lady Gaga if we have time. We'll get into that. Got some great stuff going on campus this weekend. We got UTRGV Athletics, the baseball team playing Austin P tonight. Austin P is in the Valley for the weekend, so if you get a chance to go out there and support Vaquero baseball, it's a great venue to see UTRGV Athletics there in action. Great baseball stadium. I went last week and saw them beat Milwaukee on Friday night. That was a lot of fun. And we got the, what do they get? The Canes box combo, buy one, get one if they win. That was really good. Yeah. That's, guess what I had on Saturday for lunch?
Really?
Yeah, baby.
What?
Darn tootin'.
Hey, one of those?
Hey, man, it was a good deal. So also for the weather, oh boy, it's a little rainy this morning here in Edinburgh, 51 degrees with some fog. And it looks like we got to expect a high of 65 degrees this afternoon. But it should get better tomorrow. I tell you, sometimes the weather really knocks us for a loop here in South Texas. 67 is a high today. Tomorrow, almost 20 degrees warmer, 84 with a 9% chance of rain, partly cloudy skies. Sunday, 84, Monday, 85, and Tuesday, a high of 88 with mostly sunny skies. Let's also give a shout out to our friends in Westport, Massachusetts, 34 degrees out there and sunny skies. Oklahoma City, 39 degrees with some drizzle. And in Spokane, 35 degrees and mostly sunny skies. Although, is the sun even up yet in Spokane? Yeah, it is, of course. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be here. Make sure that you stay tuned after office hours for Feminist Hour that comes up from broadcasting from our Brownsville studio. So make sure you check that out. Let's do one by request coming out from our buddy Steve in Spokane, who's asking for a little Talking Heads with Burning Down the House. Another great 80s song. And maybe we'll do a double shot of the Talking Heads, because why not? We can do that. We're in charge.
Yes, we can.
We can do it.
Of course.
Only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Haven't done the Hold Steady for a while on office hours, so I wanted to get that one in there. How a Resurrection Really Feels by the Hold Steady, their Separation Sunday LP. Some great Minnesota, Minneapolis music from the Hold Steady. Before that, you heard Talking Heads, a double shot of Talking Heads. Started it off with Burning Down the House. That one going out to Steve out in Spokane. Maybe you've heard about the wildfires up in the Panhandle. It's pretty bad. And the company that Steve works for does tanker planes and stuff on that. So they're already, the season's already started for them. So they're going to be putting out only 5% contained, apparently, that wildfire up in the Panhandle. And according to Steve, over 1 million acres have already been burned. That's not good. 1 million acres burned, 5% contained. Gosh, that's bananas. Sending out positive energy to our friends and family up in the Panhandle. Stay safe there if you would, please. It is 21 minutes after the hour here on Office Hours. Thanks for tuning in. I'm DJ Doc V. I'll be with you until 11 o'clock. And then the Feminist Hour, La Hora Feminista, coming in with DJ Morena Libre. So make sure you stay tuned to Vaquero Radio and listen to Feminist Hour coming up at 11 o'clock, broadcasting from our beautiful studios in Brownsville, Texas. Let's see what's happening in UTRGV Athletics. We had a couple of heartbreakers this week. The women netters losing to Grand Canyon Antelopes 66 to 40 yesterday. That was here in the field house. And men's basketball also lost to the Antelopes, but they're on the road. 72 to 43. Ouch! That's a sting. That stings. That really stings. Men's basketball back in town for Thursday, March 7th, where they take on Utah Tech. And women's basketball going to be playing in the field house tomorrow, 2 p.m. They'll be playing California Baptist. And then they go on the road to face Utah Tech on Thursday, March 7th. So if you want to catch a basketball game at the field house and check out all the new renovations at the UTRGV field house, you can hit the women's basketball game tomorrow afternoon. And that hopefully that'll be a good one there. Let's give our Vaqueros a little bit of grace here. The Grand Canyon Antelopes, they're 24-5, so it looks like they are pretty dominant. That was the women's basketball is 24-5. The men's basketball 25-4. So yeah, both of those teams doing really well. So tough losses for our Vaqueros basketball teams this week. But get back up on that horse. We're cheering for you, and we'll be supporting you as you face California Baptist coming up here. So thanks for tuning in, Vaqueros. Let's do a little bit of White Stripes with Seven Nation Army on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Alicia Keys with a little Cardi B thrown in there for you with Girl on Fire. And before that, we heard the White Stripes, Seven Nation Army on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Thanks for tuning in, Vaqueros. DJ Doc V will be with you here for about another half hour or so. The weather here in Edinburgh, Texas, 52 degrees right now with foggy skies. Looking for a high of 67 this afternoon. And it looks like the weather's going to clear up a bit for this weekend, so make sure you get out and enjoy the weather. 84 degrees tomorrow, 84 degrees on Sunday. Looks like some chance for rain on Monday and Tuesday, but by the time we get to Tuesday, up to 88 degrees for Tuesday here in the upper Rio Grande Valley. Also this weekend, shout out to our friends at the city of Edinburgh, the Fiesta Edinburgh Music Festival, first established in 1968, put on by the Edinburgh Chamber of Commerce. That's tonight at Bert Ogden Arena. They've got carnival rides, they've got food, they've got there's music there tonight. So make sure you get out there and enjoy the annual celebration. UTRGV is one of the sponsors of that fiesta, so I'll be there tonight. And it's tonight through March 3rd, a spectacular annual vibrant festival. Promises 4 days of enchantment at the Bert Ogden Arena starting tonight, so make sure you get out and see that. As we do every week on office hours, we've got this day in history. And on this day in 1968, thousands of Mexican-American students walk out of schools in East Los Angeles to protest unequal conditions. Their action amplifies a growing movement for Chicano civil rights. When some 22,000 students across 7 schools in East LA walked out of their classrooms over the first week of March in 1968, they sought to spotlight discrimination and substandard conditions at their schools. Situated in a majority Mexican-American area of the city, they suffered from underfunding, understaffing, and sometimes open discrimination. The dropout rate in some East LA high schools neared 60%. School buildings were crumbling, class sizes were large, Spanish language resources were scarce. Students felt their teachers and administrators did not care about helping them succeed, often discouraging them from seeking higher education. The walkouts, which unfolded between March 1st and March 6th, originated as a grassroots event organized by students and former students of area high schools with the help of Lincoln High teacher Sal Castro. Around noon on Tuesday, March 5th, one Garfield High student recalled his classmates started yelling "walk out" up and down the halls. Administrators tried to barricade school doors to prevent students from leaving. Well, that's definitely going to violate fire codes. Police officers outside met them in riot gear. This is bananas, you guys. ordering them back to class. I mean, get what? Uh, you hear a story like this, you go, oh, this is ancient history. We've come so far, right? Yep. But one thing that I talk about in my classes is that this was not that long ago. And there's plenty of examples in the 21st century of this kind of militarized response when people who, are you could argue of lower class, lower socioeconomic status, when they get together and start exercising their power, start organizing, making demands of the local government, making demands of their school, and they're met with violence from the state. Just really grinds my gears, I tell you. Protesters threw Coca-Cola bottles, and at least 2 suffered police beatings. Students carried signs with slogans such as, quote, school, not prison, quote, we demand schools that teach, and viva la raza, right? Long live the race. The East LA blowout, as organizers called it, represented the first major involvement of urban students in the growing Chicano civil rights movement. Dolores Huerta, Cesar Chavez, and the United Farm Workers had been organizing for the rights of Latino farm workers since the early 1960s. Across the country, students were protesting for African American civil rights and against the Vietnam War. These struggles were linked. Quote, I almost dropped out when the vice principal called me to the office to sign up for the selective service system when I was 18. That's the draft, y'all, right? Carlos Montez, a former student at Garfield High and an organizer of the 1968 walkouts, told History.com, I started becoming angry. I saw that the teachers didn't really care about the regular student. They only cared about the elite intellectuals. The rest of us just shuffled through. The organizers of the blowout drew up a list of 39 demands. They called for curriculum changes to include Mexican American history and culture. They also demanded desegregation of Los Angeles schools, firing of racist teachers, and greater diversity among school staff. I mean, look, I think this is really important. Forgive me, I'm going to get on my political science soapbox here a little bit. But think about think about these kids. I mean, they were kids. They were teenagers. Yep. And they were willing to stand up against power structures that were armed and using military tactics to suppress them. I tell you, some of the social movements in this world, in this country, were advanced by young people, right? When we talk about civil rights, you want to talk about the Little Rock Nine. 9 yep. high school students, the oldest of which, 17, stands up in a community where they're already being discriminated against, and threats of violence, shouts of lynch them, I mean, sometimes you look at, older folks and go, hey, when are you going to have the courage of some of these teenagers and stand up to injustice? So that this is a great one, in 1968. And really, of course, the 60s were, all kinds of stuff going on, but really, really important here. What else happened on this day in history? Let's see. In 1864, Rebecca Lee Crumpler becomes the first black woman to earn a medical degree. In 1961, President Kennedy establishes the Peace Corps, still around, sending Americans to do service, not just generally overseas, but there's also some pretty big needs here in the United States. We've got AmeriCorps for that, right? In 1966, a Soviet probe crashes into the planet Venus. In 1932, Charles Lindbergh's baby kidnapped. They ended up paying ransom, but the baby was found murdered, and likely murdered the day of the kidnapping. They did end up catching the guy who did it, and he was sentenced to death and executed a few years after that. In 1971, war protesters set off a bomb in the U.S. Capitol building. And finally, in 1781, another little shout out to my political science cred, yeah. The Articles of Confederation ratified after nearly 4 years. And why did it take so long? Well, we were fighting a war against Britain at the time. So There's your pardon me, this is your This Day in History during office hours. So thanks for tuning in, folks. And here's a little Daft Punk, only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Vaqueros, thanks for tuning in. This is DJ Doc V. Only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. You heard Daft Punk with a little bit of Pharrell in there with Get Lucky. And we're coming up on 50 minutes after the hour, and as we do every week, I've got a great poem picked out for you from Gallery Magazine, this time from the 2021 edition of Gallery Magazine. Let's get to my page here. Let's see. I may have done this one before, but boy, I don't know, it kind of hit me again this year. So this one is titled Samsara by Emily Cerda. My left hand touches solid ground, while right holds up the sky. Life blooms beneath my palm as lightning erupts from the right. My left hand picks wild flowers, while my right picks up a sword. I weave a wreath while blood-stained iron claims another foe. Moments, years, in 1,000 lifetimes I've seen everything. Between my eyes, millenniums of blue snow have fallen. Some lives were spent in carefree clouds and others in grim woods. Wing or hoof, paw or hand, I yearned for you in pale moonlight. The architects of fate always bloom along mortal's road, but misfortune only finds us when red petals open. My left hand grips yours firmly, but my right hand lets you go. Left reaches for your thread, but right takes from oblivion. I clasp my palms together, and my heart draws you back in. I will become a teardrop in your eye, a speck of dust on your cheek, a ragged scar on your mouth, more than willing. Finally, you and I are inseparable. That's a poem titled Samsara by Emily Cerda from the Gallery Magazine edition 2021, another fine production of UTRGV Student Media. Make sure you're following all of our programs on social media, including, of course, Vaquero Radio. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. Where else are we? We're on YouTube. Whatever you do, you can find us pretty much anywhere, except for TikTok. Thanks, Governor Abbott. Right. But also make sure you check out KVAQ TV, The Rider, which is our weekly newspaper, and also Gallery Magazine as well as Pulse Magazine, all great programs of UTRGV Student Media. We've got about 10 minutes left. We've got some songs picked out for you. Let's do a little Bon Iver with Flume, only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station.